Is the album Real Deal by Honeyglaze as good as a Honeyglaze donut? That is the stupidest question I have ever asked on this channel, okay? But this is what you made me do. Let me tell you why. Not you, because you're watching, but this is what everyone else made me do. Professors do that all the time. Whenever there's a lot of absences, you ask the students who are there, why is nobody here? They don't know. So you're here, which is awesome. But I can't get people to watch videos about music they don't already know about, which is part of the idea of this whole channel, okay? So that's why I'm asking you this absolutely goofy question, because it's Thunderground Thursday on a Friday. I'm just checking in on you. And this album is, in fact, better than a Honeyglaze donut. That's how good it is. Will that get you to listen to the song Real Deal by Honeyglaze? To the album Real Deal by Honeyglaze? I don't know. Let me get into some more reasons. I promised my daughter she'd have the rest of the donut after I took the first bite. She's late for school. You don't even know this. When I record this, I got all that behind me. I have my daughter feeding the dogs and getting ready to go to her senior year of high school over there. So I'm going to go give her this donut. And then I'm going to come right back and talk about this album. I'll do the intro. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's recording this video in his backyard. I mean, on my porch. If you don't know the lore by now, I have a very full house. I also have a newborn and a 2-year-old. I have the baby monitor right here. If that one wakes up, this video is going to have to end abruptly. Okay, is that exciting for you? Actually, that donut was from yesterday, so it's not that good, truly. Like this album by Honeyglaze is way, way better. And part of the reason why I do this series of Thunderground Thursday, usually on a Friday these days, it's because it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that there's so much good music out there. There's so much good music that, like, I hear. So many people send me albums, their albums they like, or send their stuff, and like, there's so much of it. First of all, I don't really have time to listen to it, so I rarely respond, which makes me feel bad, because then I'm just giving them crickets when I want to give them love, but, you know, what can you do? Busy life. But also, like, even this, which is on, like, a label that I really like and respect, Fat Possum. It comes from the South London windmill scene. You'd think that would be on my radar. You think that'd be on everybody's radar. But there's just so much good music, so little time, and so little click money to go around. Anyways, I really want to support artists, and this album is just, I don't know if it's the best rock album I've heard all year. I really like that Idols album. I know most people don't, but I really think that's a great album. And obviously there have been a bunch of other really great rock albums as well. But this might be it. It really might be. The way that I found out about it, other lore, I don't edit, and I have bronchitis. Don't worry, it's not, you can't get it from me. Inflammation of the lungs. But the way that I heard about it, you'd think I'm on this group chat with all these sort of like young whippersnappers who did this like zine all about the windmill scene, all about the post-punk music out of South London and music that's associated with it. And you'd think, you know, because, you know, those guys like send like 30 messages a day, and I get all these bings, and most of it I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I looked, I'm like, no one here's talking about Cherry Glazer. And then I send a message, I'm like, how come y'all aren't talking about Cherry Glazer? Am I just missing it? And most of them were like, oh, I don't know, I'll check it out. It's like, even young people who pay attention to this stuff, who have put hundreds of hours into something about the music from South London, the windmill scene, even many of them, not all of them, but even many of them had not heard of this band. And that's just kind of, well, it's not heartbreaking, because here I am. You're going to listen to it, you're going to like it. But just please support art. Don't only listen to this album, share this album with other people, you know? I don't ask you to do that when I talk about Kendrick or Drake or whatever. I want to give a shout out to a viewer, I think James Keeley, if I remember the name correctly, who's the one who kind of put me onto this. Just, I don't know, I think he sent like an email, and he commented on multiple videos trying to get me to go. A lot of people do that. A lot of people try to get me to review stuff. But the second that I heard it, I was like, okay, I think I'll review this. He said they sound like all three Black Country New Road albums mixed into one, which I think I don't agree with that. I like the idea that got me to click, so that's good. It was a better hook. It was a better hook device than is it better than a day old Dunkin' Donuts donut. But I think that what makes this album so good, as a fan of rock and roll music, I'm just going to keep saying rock and roll music, even though this is technically post-punk, is that very often, especially these days, post-punk music sounds like it's trying to sound like a thing. Like it's trying to sort of connect to a specific time period, not just like straight imitation, but sort of elicit a certain feeling from the past. This does not elicit any feelings from the past for me. This is like, what if there was music, new rock and roll music made by a band where you didn't say, this is trying to sound like that? With the very small exception of a little bit of like, time signature play, proggy, mathy stuff, which sounds like it's of South London. I suspect that like all these folks are like music college graduates, and they somehow managed to make great music despite the fact that they've learned so much about the sort of technical details of making music. They still managed to make emotionally powerful music despite having music sort of not reduced, but reframed in a much more analytical standpoint, said the professor. So I guess I hear that. And the lead vocalist, every once in a while, she'll throw out this sort of like spoken word in sort of a matter-of-fact way that does remind me a little bit of some of the new Black Country New Road female vocalists, female-led songs. But no, this is just like a trio. Just three people making music. Individually, individually they do exactly what I want people to do who are playing those instruments. And collectively, they sound like the kind of band that needs to be a band. Even though, I don't know, they're members of some other band and they broke off. I don't know. The whole scene thing must be a nightmare. Must be a nightmare. Because you just be like, hey, cool, let's meet all these other bands. You're gonna run off with the other band, aren't you? But they do this thing which is really tricky, which is the music is complicated. I'm a mediocre guitarist and I can't play this stuff. I'm a mediocre drummer. I'm a mediocre bass player. I don't think I could play most of this stuff. And I'm an okay drummer, and I definitely couldn't play a lot of this stuff, like the sort of like rough shod, just straight rock stuff, not really there, okay? You're not going to have a lot of success trying to cover this at a bar on Thursday night in Pennsylvania, right? But at the same time, it is not too much. These guys, and one of them's a woman, so I guess these folks are just... They're not, none of that. They're musically talented, but they don't go too hard. They don't go too far. They never go full prog. The whole thing is, did you find your donut? Got your donut? All right. The whole thing is produced by the improbably named Claudius Mittendorfer. And I looked up his, because I'm fascinated, because a lot of this great post-punk music will end up being produced by really smart and driven people. Sergio Machetsko's work on Ants From Up There was just amazing, and James Ford is having, the year right now, and Dan Carey produces so much. Like, there's these great names. And so I had never actually seen Claudius Mittendorfer. I looked up his credits, and he did a lot of mixing for Pray for the Wicked by Panic at the Disco. Here's a hot take. That album rules. It's great. That album is so good. I've had to listen to it a lot because the donut eater over there was going through a goth phase. That's a great album. Don't overlook how good Panic at the Disco is sometimes. Most of the time. The majority of the time. Okay, so, what is it? Like when we talk about like a post-punk band, usually just means rock with some added element. In this case, there isn't like that one thing. I think what it really is just how well they work together as a trio. So I want to do a thing that I never do and go band member by band member. I'm telling you, I freaking love this album. I've been listening to it. The Donut Daughter, she just usually she's sort of like skeptical about the music I play, and then sometimes she likes it. But she's just loving this. My 2-year-old loves this. My wife loves it. The whole family. It's just great. And I think it's this magic of these 3 people working together. So the drummer is Yuri Shibauchi. That's how it's spelled. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced. And he does this thing where, because I was a drummer a long time ago, right? I was a drummer in a band. I've been slowly releasing our music on YouTube. And we were a trio. And I was sort of split between trying to be like a really good drummer and a really simple drummer. But that was my position. I was a drummer. And so I think a lot about drummers in particular. And like, this guy can play so many complicated things and can be that kind of drummer guy, right? I'm playing air drums so well, it's making me sick. But what he does beyond that is he has like a writerly sense of drumming, where you can tell that he writes drum beats that the band themselves react to. Like, I feel like sometimes bands are awesome and they don't just credit the lead singer with all of the songwriting credit or just the guitar. Sometimes everyone gets credit, and that's how it is on this, and that's how like Led Zeppelin did it as well, for the most part. And like, much like with Led Zeppelin, it's like, yeah, you're damn straight. You don't have John Paul Jones and John Bonham filling out this song. You're not going to have a song. Like, the song is in the the songwriting is partially in the performance of the musicians, sometimes in music. And that's the way that it is here. And this writerly sense of drumming that he has, this way where he can sort of like lead and make like almost melodies with his drum lines. God damn it, he's good. And also, he's producing the new Tapir songs. So he's also a producer. I didn't know that when I wrote this whole little thing about how he's a writerly drummer and how he has the sense of music. But hey, it just comes through. And Tim Curtis is the bassist. I looked him up online, and all I found was a bunch of writing in Polish. I don't understand. Who is Tim Curtis? This is a mysterious guy. So when I started playing music, my brother told me to play bass because no one has a bassist. So even though I liked playing drums, I went out and I sold my Michael Jordan rookie card that I pulled from a pack in 1985, 86. I sold it for $250, and I went down to Daddy's Junkie Music on Boylston Ave in Boston, Massachusetts, and bought myself a Fender Precision bass. That was cool, but I'm not a very good bassist, and I immediately just said, screw this, I want to play drums. But I do really think a lot about bass, and bass is a very tricky thing. Bass is like a spice in a meal. Like, if you really taste it, you screwed up. Like, it's too much. Like, if you can really taste the bass in a song, then, you're... No coughing this time. But this is like... I don't know. Is this the best bass I've heard in a long time? At least for me. Because he does this thing where he doesn't go too hard, doesn't go too far, doesn't go flying away, but he knows how to write songs that fill the space and has rhythm. And then sometimes he'll use a chord, or sometimes he'll go on little runs. Sometimes he'll remind me a lot of like Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead. I doubt there's an influence there, but that kind of style of sort of like far out bass lines that get you sort of like a little bit out of your seat and sort of like a little bit flying. And so I've now talked for 14 minutes and 7 seconds about this band without talking about the lead singer, which is hilarious because the lead singer's, the lead singer. And she's like a star, like that's... I hate to curse somebody with calling them a star, because being a star seems to suck. I know we all want to be stars, but I don't think it's a good deal. Anusa Soov. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that properly either. So there's this thing about post-punk where I'm an American and I'm mostly describing British bands. And the word knob in British has a second meaning, but I mean it as a thing on like a record player or on a TV that you can turn it up or turn it down, okay? And one of the things that's most interesting about this Brexit post-punk, windmill, whatever, is that it's a continuation of something that happened a lot in the 90s, where you had these rock bands, especially out of England, where you had a lead singer who was like, I don't want to be a lead singer. I don't want to be up front. I don't want to be the center of everything. So this led to a lot of sort of blasé, super cool, ironic, unsure, reluctant lead singers. Okay? So for those singers, you know, the lead singer knob is way down at 1, you know? But then you also had, you know, whatever, Jarvis Cocker of Pulp, and nowadays, you know, you have whoever the dude is for Idols, you know, and like, it's cranked up. Like there's like a way to like go beyond that, and just to be so much of like, I'm not a lead singer, that you're like a satire of lead singers. Anuska, see, I'm used to the name Anushka, but I think there's no H in there, so I'm just going to keep saying Anuska. I'll just say Sokolov. It ends with a W, but I assume it's pronounced with a V. Her. She really has the right balance, where I don't, like, she's, at times, she's a little bit cool, a little bit unsure, a little bit reluctant, a little bit just like, oh, I got to talk into this microphone, fine. But then also, just every once in a while, she'll just sprinkle in a little bit of, like, ethereal singing, just beautiful singing that reminds you, okay, yeah, she actually probably can really sing, and she could be a singer, but she spends a lot of her time right there, just constantly, maybe I'll say the fader instead of the knob. Okay, so she's constantly on the fader, kind of going up and back with where is she going to be on the lead singer, and I really appreciate that. And her lyrics, this album, the first time I listened to it, I was like, okay, cool. But then the more I listened to it, and so, you know, I'm a 90s kid, right? I believe that's pretty clear by, like, most of my references. And the ability to communicate a disaffected worldview in a way that is emotionally engaging is extremely difficult. So she has this distance, this world weariness, this ennui that she's able to describe in a way that's not boring. That's a pun for all you French speakers out there. It's ennui, but it's not boring, okay? It's not ennuyeux, in case you didn't get it. See me after class if you don't get the joke. So that's a really great skill. And I think it's because there's a lot of humor, sort of, I don't know, British dry wit. But this sort of like disaffected lead singer, I don't know, she just does it just right. The album is called Real Deal, and I was like, man, what does that mean? Just so you know, I did a little bit of research so you can see. This is their album cover. It says Real Deal. It's a boxing theme, and these are the boxing shorts from the African American Museum of Heritage in Washington, D.C. Those are the shorts of legendary boxer Evander Real Deal Holyfield. So you can even see they copied the font on there. Just a little bit of history for you there. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes rock bands really like boxing thematics. I can't quite explain why, but there you go. And that's realer than Real Deal Holyfield, as Snoop Dogg once said. I'm going to do a stamp, an example song for you to listen to, okay? It's called Cold Collar, click above the birds. I'm not paying attention. Have you seen any birds back there? You might see some cardinals. Maybe some tufted titmouses. Cold Collar. Now, this is what I'm talking about when you listen to the drummer. He has like a drum line that you theoretically, I think, could play with one hand. You know, he's not playing things synchronously. But then it interlocks with this guitar and this bass, and it has this like depth and richness that connects all together, but it's like, it would be so hard to do properly if you just got some musicians together, but they do it, and it's complicated, but it doesn't sound busy. And there's really sort of strong opening lyrics, and at the end, and this is the song where at the very end of the phrase she'll say a word, and it reminds me of, I don't know, a song off the last Black Country New York album, but that's about it. And then there's these little claps at the end, and the whole song, and it's just at a certain point, I think the drummer's using 4 drumsticks on the hi-hat. I swear to God, I could listen to the stems of this album. Seriously, I could. Like just the bass, just the drums. And these lyrics, Ever since the lights went off, I answer every cold caller. I know exactly what they want. I just enjoy the conversation. It's a joke. It's a thought. It's an idea. It's a funny, goofy thing to think about. But at the same time, it's deeply sad. It's a deeply, deeply sad idea of someone calling you and being like, "Excuse me, did you know that you can win a cruise? Yeah, all you have to do is just come on down and we'll talk about some chances you have to own timeshare property in Florida, and we'll give you a free cruise." And you're just sitting there and you're like, "Word? Yeah, I can?" Or, "Did you know that your car warranty is out of date?" It is? Tell me more. Like the last person in the world who you want calling you is calling you, and you're talking to them. That's awesome. That'd be like if I ever started like texting back I somehow ended up on Guitar Center's text list, even though I only go to House of Guitars. But anyway, I don't know how I ended up there. So I get like emails from House of Guitars, text messages from once a week. It'd be like if I responded back, "Okay, cool, thanks for telling me about the Labor Day savings. What's up with you?" You know? The sadness, the loneliness, the patheticness, it's great. The second part gets really kind of nice and sustained. It goes in these little instrumental segments where they bring back the beginning. It's just so beautifully satisfying. The second verse, the drummer at times is like a chilled out Keith Moon, which is a funny thing to say, but it's like Keith Moon had a way of writing drum beats with fills, and that's what this guy is doing. I forget his name. I apologize. I would just mispronounce it anyways. But he's like playing these muted drums, and it's just great. And it's like this love song about the cold caller. And I can hear your voice at night, bathed in warmth from my phone light. Stay with me, oh love of mine, stay with me. Please don't put me back on hold. Now you know you have control. I'll do anything I'm told just to know I'm not alone. Great lyrics, great songwriting, great performance. What more do you want? And then it goes back to the interlocking bits from the beginning at the end. It's just very, very satisfying. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to go through the rest of the album a little bit quicker here. Smash like bucket if you like what you see. AVAA stands for awesome view as always, but let me tell you the truth. If I had to choose between this video getting 10,000 views and none of them checking out this album, or getting 1,000 views, which is what it'll probably get, and every single one of you listening to this album, okay? So that's what I'm saying. I don't care. You can like this video or not like this video, but please, dear God, support this band, because we need more bands like this. I don't care. We got a lot of them, but we need more of them. Unfortunately, the worst track on the album is the first track on the album. You might be mad at me. It's not a bad song. It's my least favorite song. I'm not even saying it's bad, but the thing is it's the most Black Country New Roadie. It's the most like, oh, here we are. We're in the windmill zone, which maybe helps them. So what do I know, right? That band of mine never even released. We recorded an entire album and we never even released it. We never even played it for people. We bought an 8-track recorder and we recorded and we never even released it. So don't listen to me. But, it has this kind of like loud crash and it breaks into jazzy stuff. There's something about this song that is like, somehow it's like sleepy. And I don't know why I don't like that. Maybe there's a coldness to it because of the precision. Fortunately, the second half gets a lot warmer and I like it quite a bit. But still not the best. But then we go right into that song I like so much. And then we get to another song, Pretty Girls, which is just this great, rusty, gnarly sounding electric guitar. And it just mixes in perfectly with this bass and this great guitar line. And these lyrics, alcohol makes me feel sad. I want nothing to do with that. Thank you. Can we just have more people talking about the fact that alcohol is a depressant? I know some people talk about it, but it's real. I once worked at this camp. It was a summer camp in France. And it was in between sessions, so there was no kids there. And we played pastis pinball. So that's pastis ping pong. So that's like beer pong, but with pastis. And I got really unhappily drunk. And I remember just sitting in my room in front of my mirror, staring in the mirror, just being like, ah, because I was so sad. It was a very sad point in my life. And that's where I realized I'm not going to drink when I'm sad anymore. And now I don't drink when I'm happy anymore either. So there you go. Now I just basically don't drink. But it's a great lyric that is simple and true and direct. And then, Pretty Girls make me feel sad, very or make me feel bad, very direct. I imagine this is a very relatable line. If you have grown up in the patriarchal, sexist nightmare of civilization, and just the bass work that's going on, this little bridge, and the drummers playing these like upbeat things on the rim, and it's just great. And apparently, according to her, something they say in Genius. He said this whole line, I'm in touch with my feminine side, I always wear pink. She said, it's one of my favorite lyrics. She misspelled it with a U. It's one of my favorite lyrics because I still don't know whether it's sarcastic or not. That's post-punk. And if you haven't seen the video, too, the video is just so charming. It's this band walking in front of a projected image, and there's like a dog with like a GoPro on its head. I don't know what it is. But they just have this like very... Still asleep. They just have this lovable, affable nature. The drummer drops a drumstick and he like picks. He's just like waiting patiently for someone to give him the drumstick back. It's just like they look like young, impossibly hipstery, douchey folks. You know, like you have to look if you're in a rock band, right? That's just if you're in a rock band right now, that has to be a description of you. You know. But like, it's like if you just saw a picture, you know, like she's wearing sunglasses, whatever. But like, the vibe they give off as they perform and as they interact with each other, I don't know, it's just really, really winning. I don't mean to do so many insults when I compliment people's music. There's a fair chance I will get to interview this band as well. So, hey, at least I have something to answer for. What did you mean by that, Professor Sky? I don't usually drink this much coffee while I do my analysis, but you know, my throat and bronchitis is tough. And then, okay, it's this little run. So you had the first song, which I don't love, and the second song, which I absolutely love, third song, which I absolutely love, and then the fourth song might be the best. This is the kind of song, it's a little bit slower, it's a little bit more downbeat, that might end up being my favorite song in the whole GD album, except, you know, it doesn't grab you. But it's this great sort of like plodding guitar and bass, sort of pavement-y. The guitar is playing arpeggiated notes. The drummer is doing these kind of jazzy lines where he's sort of like playing down the toms. The bass is playing these really complicated rhythms that are actually like not too hard but difficult. And all these lyrics, you know, that she's someone who folds something all the time. And I'll just pretend that I'm sleeping. Like... And that's the thing, right? So when you're an American, I don't know why, but Americans are not good enough at producing lyricists that make you sad and happy at the same time. So, you know, Morrissey, Tom York, and I'm going to throw Anusa, I mean, whatever. She's not at their level yet because they only have 2 albums. I've only heard this one. But, like, this is exactly what I look for when I'm listening to kind of depressing but also uplifting music out of England, is stuff like, I'll just pretend that I'm sleeping. This whole thing, nothing in life seems to fit right, nothing seems to fit. Did you know they changed t-shirts? Man, I bought all my t-shirts like 10 years ago. My wife is trying to help me out because they all got ratty, and I bought them all, and they're all super like skinny and then super long. They go down to your knees. Nothing fits right. Beautiful. And then the way she sings these lines too. Every once in a while she'll throw on a line and she just sings beautifully. I don't need to be saved, but things are easier that way. And then there's this beautiful part where the bassist is like playing some chords and then he just goes on these little runs. Just such beautiful bass playing. Very catchy bridge, guitars in sync through the voice, and then leads into this sort of like drummed outro. And then you think you're done. You think, how can you keep this run going? You get to the song Don't. Can I give the drummer some? Starts off with this funk drum line and a great cool riff on the guitar, interlocks again with the bass. And basically just speaking over this verse, but it just gets you going. It's a great song. And it's this really bitter, angry song about, I assume, what it's like having to deal with men all the time, or just bad boyfriends. Don't ignore me when I'm asking you a question. Don't change the subject and act like it was never mentioned. Don't raise your voice and interrupt me when I'm speaking. I'm a person, you know. I've got things to say. I've got fucking feelings. Theory time. I think the word fucking feelings in there is just because she's being so real that you need to throw in a little F-bomb to make sure that all the cool kids don't think you're being too sincere. Because this feels really real to me. This feels like this is just all this frustration coming out. And just by throwing in the effing feelings, it's like, it's like, you know, young disaffected people can listen to sincere music, but at a certain point you better wink or else we're just going to say paw. Not that I'm young, but I still have that mindset sometimes. Don't call me if you're only going to talk about yourself. Don't take advantage. You know, easily I'm overwhelmed. Don't try to prove me wrong. The drums kind of like do a little stutter step under that don't. The whole band restarts. Don't make me feel like I don't belong where I don't belong. Beautiful. Perfect lyrics. Upbeat. The video is really unsettling because it's like she's in her boxing gear but her face is all bruised, and it's like weird because I don't think it's about domestic abuse. I think it's about emotional abuse, and so I think it's using imagery of domestic abuse to represent the abuse of emotional abuse, and I'm for it. People, we need to stop thinking that abuse leads to bruises. Not all abuse leads to bruises. Okay? I've been horribly abused in my life, and I have had no bruises. Oh, one, but beyond that. But hey, hey, don't let me. Maybe that's a question I'll get to ask if I get to interview them after. What did I call? What did I call them even? Listen, I don't edit my videos. If I edited my videos, I'd go back and take out whatever that was I said. Sorry, the sun is poking through a tree over there, and I'm like getting blinded. You know, this is the problem, is that like this is Thunderground Thursday, and I try to keep them short because you're more likely to click on a video, but I can't help it. I like this album so much. This album, yeah. Next track is called TMJ. This one's bass-led. So last song was drum-led. This is bass-led. I'm telling you, this is a band. They work together. The guitar slowly comes in, ringing and cool. When I'm not busy, I'm online. If you ask how I am, I say that I'm fine. Try to stay connected. I try to stay in touch. I ask you what I'm up to, tell you not much. If you ask what I'm up to, I'll tell you not much. Perfect. This is modern communication. This is the disaffected nature that we all live. This is when I'm not busy, I'm online. Like, it's just the barren wasteland of our sort of daily existence and our inability to connect with each other on any meaningful level is boiled down into these nice 4 lines. The guitar is perfectly matched with the bass, and then she's talking about clenching my jaw because I don't trust myself anymore. You know, TMJ is like a jaw disease. I don't have it, but like, I should. I carry my stress. Like yesterday, I don't know why I was really. I've had to deal with a lot of stress in my life. Probably connected to all those bruises you can't see. But I'm a fairly like stressed out guy, which I don't think comes through my videos because, you know, I'm wearing a bathrobe and I'm surrounded by birds. I'm like freaking Snow White out here. Part of your world. But I do carry my stress in my jaw. So often when I'm stressed, like I'll just. So I don't have TMJ, but I relate to people who do. And especially this idea that it's like a disease you can give yourself through stress. Okay, chill out, Blue Jays. Beautiful instruments, these big, these drums like just jazz up a little bit. A little guitar solo thing in here. And then all the drums are muted, which I love. Speaking of like relating to it. So like I hear the song and she talks about having TMJ, and I don't have TMJ, but I relate to it. It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from Big Lebowski, where Dom Herrera plays the chauffeur, and he's describing his life. My wife's a pain in the ass. She's always busting my frickin' agates. My daughter's married to a jadrool loser bastard. I got a rash so bad on my ass I can't even sit down. But you know me, I can't complain. To which the dude responds, fucking A, man. I got a rash, man. Fucking A. I hear the song and I go, oh, fucking A. I got TMJ, man. Fucking A. You know, like I don't, but I can relate to it. A little jazzy bit at the end is great. I feel it all kind of a siren-like sound. I think the sky is about to open and I see it fall. I feel the cracks on your lips. This is about like being hypersensitive, like not really texturally, but also just emotionally. Like that time in San Jose when I didn't have a dental insurance, so I went to a budget dentist and he didn't use enough Novocaine. Like I felt it all. Terrible memory. He had bad breath too. You could smell it through the mask. It was better than the free dental clinic at the University of California, Berkeley, which I also went to. Rough times. No one talks about free dental insurance. We should have that too in America. But it's like this great imagery of what it's like to feel like a raw nerve and to feel like you feel everything, which is great because often the way that she presents herself, you know, with the sunglasses and the kind of cool and the sort of singing and the kind of talking, is that like she does that great thing of sort of saying, if it feels to me like what she's communicating is if I seem blasé, it's because I feel so much. Next track is Ghost. Sweet guitar with voice, you know, they don't, like, they're a three-piece and they use dynamics really well, of sometimes having people play, sometimes not. I love this lyric. I know that there's no winner, but maybe I have one. Hey, here's another question I might get to ask if I interview them, if I haven't pissed them off too much. Did I call them hipster douchebags? That's not what I meant. What I meant by what I said, by the way, is that, like, there's a certain look that you naturally have when you're young and cool that looks to other people as kind of douchey, but it's usually jealousy because, like, they would look cool if they could look cool. I'm not digging myself out of this one. Anyways, this lyric, I know there's no winner, but maybe I have one. I swear this is a play on Frank Sinatra. I swear this is my way, but like the opposite, you know, like not bravado, but just like, I know there's no winner, but maybe I have one. Yeah, I don't know. It has that feeling here. It seems like it's like about a ghost, you know, you can see me naked without taking off my clothes. Great shuffling drums on the when the drums come in, they're like shuffling on the ride. It's just great. So it could be about a ghost. I am here and nowhere. I am always in between. I am being literal. I am not being literal, but you know what I mean. But I think that's the key. I think the song is about like her feeling like she's there and not there. So she's using the imagery of ghostness, but actually it's how she feels unseen or unfelt by the person that she's with or the people around her. And then there's a killer jam at the end. Yo, this band is doing some other thing. As the album goes, and if I ever, you know, I don't know if this is Claudius Mittendorfer's idea or whose, but like, it's like getting jammier and jammier. Like they start to sound more and more like a jam band as it goes on. Remember, I love jam bands. I love good jam bands, okay? I will list off the jam bands that I love. Grateful Dead, Tame Impala. Okay, there's others that I like, but those are the ones that I love. But like, that kind of connection you only can get, so it's great. You get to the next song, TV, more kind of a rusty guitar lines, where she's talking about like watching TV with her friend and she wants to be like the way that woman makes her think. That I want to be half the woman that she embodies, which I love because she recognizes that it's not half the woman that she is, it's half the woman that she embodies. Because that's the problem, is that you don't actually, like, you know, like there's a real person under there. So she wants to be half the woman that she thinks that other woman is. Beautiful. Her voice here, singing here, reminds me a little bit of Mo Tucker from Velvet Underground. And she's talking about, you know, watching TV, about home renovation. And I love it because it's all about like thanking terrestrial TV. And I love this idea because, you know, most of us watch TV only on demand. And it is true. You know, you end up like watching stuff on TV, you end up seeing stuff on TV and you don't know what it is and you end up writing a song about it. My band wrote a song about the movie Greaser's Palace by Robert Downey Sr. And like that movie's out of it. I don't know why that movie was on TV, but we saw like a quarter of that movie. I've never seen the whole thing. We watched like a quarter of that movie and we wrote a song about it. There's a certain degree to which when everything is a la carte, you close yourself off from exploration. You know? You close yourself off from randomness, from finding some kind of deep meaning in watching one of those renovation shows. By the way, if you ever move to America, you'll see all the home renovation shows you ever want to see because they're in every single waiting room in the entire country. I can tell you, I've watched them all. I had bronchitis, went to the doctor yesterday. What was playing in the waiting room? It wasn't Property Brothers. It was one of those like ones where they find a house and they renovate it and then they sell it. Then the second part of this song is Weird Fishes by Radiohead. Okay, listen. I'm biased because my first successful video on YouTube was when my son was 2 years old, and he sang the entire song and I played with him. I'll include a link in the description if you've never seen it. It's the cutest thing in the world. It's the best video I've ever done, and I'll never do anything better than that in my entire life. But, you know, it just sort of is, but it's fine because it's not the whole song. It's just a little bit with a super hard-working drummer and arpeggiated guitar lines, and even them kind of sort of sounds like, but it's just a little tiny part of the song, which is very cool. Controversial point, is Weird Fishes the most influential Radiohead song? I didn't say most popular, but like the song that most bands heard and said, maybe I should do that. Second part was, were they just trying to do a Portishead song when they made that song anyways? Okay, we'll keep going. It crashes at the end and it's great, and she's like speaking, and I can't go because the TV show is perfect inspiration, and she's sitting there and this is killer out-of-tune guitar way in the... What? I don't know what bird that is. I've not heard that bird before. If you can identify bird sounds, you tell me who that little bastard is. Oh, I see it. Oh, that's like it's a house finch. Hey, house finch, chill out. Then we get to the title track, Real Deal. Not my favorite song on the album. It sucks that the first track and the title track are my least favorite songs on the album. But still, I like it because it's sort of that faux bravado, you know, like I touch how I want to be touched and all that. Uh-oh, she's moving around. I better keep this going. And then the album ends with Movies, which is a proper outro, mournful, neat drum line. God damn, I love this drummer. Okay? Really thoughtful and premeditated drum line that is writerly, you know? And this whole theme, this whole feeling of like just wanting to go to the movies by yourself. And it's funny because it might have been last week, my teenage daughter asked me, she said, Dad, yeah, is it okay to go to movies by yourself? Is it okay? Hey guys, I'm sponsored. I'm sponsored by Go to Movies by Yourself. It is the greatest feeling. Now, okay, going with people is awesome, but going to a movie theater by yourself is just delightful. You get to experience the movie exclusively with your thoughts. All the little things you want to say, you say to yourself. You can't look at your phone because you're not an enemy of the people, okay? If you look at your phone during a movie for any reason other than making sure that your family is okay, you are an enemy of the people, okay? So you're not an enemy of the people, so you're just locked in. And if you're like me and you're so ADD, it's unbelievable, you have to do 5 different things at once. You can't do more than 5 things at once. You just have to sit there and just watch the movie. I told her the story when I spent a semester in France. I was there for, 15 weeks, and I saw 40 movies, all by myself, just all over the place, and it gives you this great feeling. And I like the song because it's glorifying how great it is to go to the movies by yourself, but also it's kind of sad because, hey, I was in Paris. I could have been at a rooftop party. I could have been at Ed Banger Records dancing with Daft Punk, but instead I was just sitting there at the frickin' Odeon. And then there's just more of a jam in here, and I feel so much jam music here. Insane bass lines. Like, I would love like a half-hour version of this song of them just playing and playing and playing. So listen, I hope I made my case. There it is. There it is. I'm going to do a quick version of this for Instagram just to be shared so that it's like 3 minutes or something, like a short version of this video. But these are my Patreons. They help me buy music. I'm definitely getting this album. I love this album. It's great. Maybe I'll get their old album too. So Patreons help me to buy music and diapers. And as always, my new feature, will I make the shot? You ready? If I do, you have to buy this album. All right? Catch you on the flippity flip. All right, well, it didn't go in the yard, so you have to at least stream it, okay? There's the camera.